Looks good. So thank you for having me here today, and I'm happy to share with you how we have integrated Condens into our research setup at XXXLdigital. First off, I want to start with a short introduction of the company I'm working for so that you have some kind of picture of what we are doing and what company we are. So XXXLdigital is part of the XXXLutz group, or Lutz group, as we say, to make it more easy to pronounce, which is one of the largest furniture retailers in the world. So we have about 370 stores in 13 countries across Europe, with more than 20,000 employees, and we have an annual turnover of around 6 billion euros per year. So this is the Lutz Group, one of the largest furniture retailers in the world and in Europe. And we, as a part of the Lutz Group, so at XXXLdigital, the digital unit of the Lutz Group, are responsible for all brands in all the European countries that we have. So we have currently 5 brands in Europe, which is Mömax, Lutz, Möbelix, Lesnina, and also Poco. What we do is we design and develop all digital touch points like the online shops. So we currently have 23 online shops that we're currently hosting and maintaining. We have mobile apps, which we will relaunch somewhere next year. That's also very exciting for us. And also a lot of research is done with the mobile apps. And we also have product configurators in order to ensure that our customers getting the right product that they are looking for, that they have the ideal product that they wish for, and of course, some internal digitalizations of processes and systems. So some numbers on XXXLdigital before I start into the topic today. So at XXXLdigital, we have 11 locations across Europe. One of my favorite location besides Vienna, where I'm based, is Barcelona, which is also very nice, directly at the sea. So we, as I said before, we have 23 online shops and the relevant product catalogs in these online shops. We're around 700 employees at XXXLdigital. We have 90 plus state-of-the-art technologies that we're currently working on and developing. And within XXXLdigital, we have the CX department, which I'm part of. And CX stands for customer experience, as you might have guessed. We are currently 9 employees, and 4 of them, as you can see them on the right-hand side, are responsible for research at the Lutz Group. So our department is existing since 2020, so almost 5 years by now. And we are responsible for all in-store and digital experiences across all brands and all countries within the Lutz Group. So we are covering a broad range of topics, research questions that might come up at some point. And our goal is, of course, to foster and develop customer centricity as a mindset throughout the corporate group. And in order to achieve this goal, one of the key factors for us is customer research. And this is where Condens comes into place. But let me first introduce our research process in a nutshell to you. So first of all, we are convinced that transparency and open-minded is key in order to have a successful research process. So if a stakeholder has a question and explores the internal data sources on previous research, he might see that there is not enough knowledge available that the stakeholder can easily submit a research topic into our so-called topic collection. Ideally, he not only states the topic itself, but also provides us with some background information on the topic itself so that we are able to know what the stakeholder is looking for and what research might be suitable for this research question. Once a week, we as a research team meet to review all the new topics and then see if we have enough information, if we need more information, and then reach out to the relevant stakeholder in order to discuss with him his research topic and also to see how can we support him in order to answer his questions, in order to provide him with the information, with the results that he needs to do a database decision, to do the best decision in terms of evolving our customer experience to the better. We also then implementation and analysis of the research. So we do everything that we can in-house, which is a great opportunity. So we have the resources and also the knowledge in-house to do almost everything at XXXLdigital, except for sampling, which I'm very happy that this is something we won't do in-house. So we have our partners for sampling. This is really helpful so that we can concentrate really on designing the research guide, the interview guide, questionnaires, and also doing fieldwork and doing the analysis in the end, and also the reporting. So we do reporting, we do presentations, especially for our user experience tests. We always do a presentation for the whole setup on the latest results. And also important, we archive everything. Since we think that knowledge must be accessible to everyone in our setup, since knowledge is key to success, in our opinion, and therefore we think that transparency and knowledge sharing is key in order to be successful. Back in 2022, when we started at some point looking out for a research repository, we were often confronted with questions like, how do customers use the filters on our website? Have we ever done research on buying a kitchen online and stuff like that? So we had a lot of questions coming up. Of course, we had done a lot of research by then, and we saved our research in Confluence. And I don't know if any one of you has already tried to find something in Confluence, especially when he tries to use keywords as a search term. And Confluence has a unique strength there that when you're using keyword search, it shows you everything but except what you were looking for. And this is why we were confronted often with these questions that already we had done some research, but nobody was able to find it. And that was the time when we were looking for a solution. So we said we need something that is easy. That is easy and searchable, and therefore we started to look for a tool that makes research easily accessible and searchable, that really makes it easy for our stakeholders, for our setup, to find the information that they are looking for. Once we took a look at different tools, we realized that most of these repository tools also bring a lot of features for qualitative analysis, which of course was for us then a bonus feature, which really, we were delighted about, that it's not only sharing knowledge, but also having the opportunity to make our processes, our research processes, also more efficient. So we compared some tools and came to the conclusion that Condens is the best fit for our needs. So what Condens, in our opinion, is, what the strengths of Condens are, in our opinion, is the fully searchable repository. So you can search for anything. Even uploaded documents are completely searchable with keywords. When you look for a keyword and it's in a document, then Condens will also open this document for you and put you right to the page where this keyword is, and also highlight this keyword. So it's really easy to search for things. It's really easy to find things. And bonus feature for us is that it's also useful features for analyzing data. As Phyllis showed in the beginning of this coffee talk, you have a transcript, which is especially useful for us since we're in a European country, so we have to apply to the GDPR. And also we do a lot of research in Germany. As you might know, Germany is one of the most strict countries when it comes to data protection. So this is very useful for us. And it's also very easy to create highlight videos and highlight reels. And in our experience, highlight reels are one of the key factors to get people convinced and to get people into action, as they see the struggle of the users. And when you create a highlight reel where 5 different people stumble across the same thing and they say it in their, let's say, quite emotional way, this really drives change when people are seeing this, than us talking on. So many users have problems with it. It's just us talking, but if you see the user struggling with the current topic, that really makes the difference. You have different artifact types, also as Phyllis showed, to structure reports, to make it easy to navigate within the report and to find what you're looking for. In our opinion, Condens offers an excellent user interface. And last but not least, Condens are highly motivated people, competent people, and every time friendly. So we really appreciate to work with Condens in that perspective. So we launched Condens in XXXLdigital in January 2023, so almost 1.5 or more than 1.5 years ago. And let me share some things that we discovered are key in order to make a successful launch of a research repository, be it Condens or anything else. So first thing is, spending time on search values and taxonomy is key to have a successful research repository and make it easy for stakeholders to find what they are looking for. So in the first place, it's important to understand how stakeholders will search. So questions to ask and answer when setting up a research values and also taxonomy is, first of all, who will use the research repository? Is this sales? Is this marketing? Are these the UX designers? This is product development. So who are the different stakeholders who will use the repository in order to really see what are the different needs? What are the different also, let's say, stages of knowledge when it comes to research and how to use research, how to look for research? And also then ask yourself, why will the user look for research? What are the things that he tries to achieve? What needs to be the benefit for the user when using a research repository? And we also discovered in our case that we have some different groups of stakeholders, and we need to understand what is important to these different groups of stakeholders. What are they looking for? Are they more into feature requests? Are they trying to fix issues that we have seen, or are they trying to develop new features? And last but not least, what are they currently used to when looking up information? So are there any other databases that you have currently in your company? How did they work? How is their look and feel? And is there something that they are used to that is completely different? So it's more easy if there's not a too big change when implementing something new. And therefore, it's also important to know what they're currently used to, what are they currently using, and what are the benefits of that, what they like about that, and maybe what are also the dislikes, what can be improved from that perspective. After answering these questions and setting up taxonomy and also the search values, the filtering variables, and all these things, we then headed out and did a complete onboarding of all the relevant colleagues. On the right-hand side, you can see a screenshot from our presentation that we did back then. So we did an online training, or several online trainings on how to use Condens and what are the benefits are. So we highlighted what are the benefits are, what are the use cases that Condens is used for us, and we did that in several languages. As you have seen before, we have 13 different countries. So we are also an Austrian-based company. So we have a lot of colleagues that only speak German, for instance, but also we have colleagues that are not speaking English fluently. So we have also this challenge when it comes to language. So we did onboarding trainings in several languages and also recorded them to make them accessible whenever someone has the need to see, or a new colleague joins, and he has the same information that we provided back then. So everyone is able to rewatch these recordings, take another look at this online training, and see how Condens works. The other thing that we did, we set up complete user guides to Condens in German and English, since these are our main company languages. So there is a written guide on how to use Condens, how to search, illustrated with several use cases on how to look for different things. And of course, we didn't completely get rid of Confluence. We also have a Confluence page with some additional information on our so-called research database and a direct link to Condens. This is how we started, and how has usage developed over time. We started with introduction events, as one of them I showed before. We trained our colleagues in Condens, and since then, the monthly number of unique stakeholders accessing our research repository has increased significantly. So our monthly goal is that 100 unique stakeholders are looking per month at the research repository. And as you can see, this graph starts in April 2023 and ends in July 2024. You can see some kind of movement, but we can see that the number has increased. Of course, this is dependent on what are you presenting on the research repository, how much research do you do, how much do you publish, and also how do you spread the word, let's say, across the setup, and make it accessible and make it, or spread the knowledge that there is some new research. And this leads me to what has been useful for us, so which actions have been useful to us when setting up our research repository. Onboarding, as stated before, so we did trainings, events, several languages, so we have training documents, and we of course have some clear contact persons, so people who are responsible for the research repository. So every stakeholder knows to who he should reach out if he has any question regarding our research repository and if there is anything that he might want to know. Second thing is clarity. So when launching Condens, we said Condens needs to be the only platform for any research in order to make it beneficial. And this means that you have to be consistent. So we do not longer send any results via email, only we send out Condens links. And also, if a stakeholder asks for a result or a study or any research that might have been done on a certain topic, we always refer the colleague to Condens. At some point, so with some colleagues that are not that familiar with how to use things like Condens, we then do it together. However, we never send any PDF, PPTP, or any stuff like that. We always refer to Condens in order to establish Condens as the one stop for anything that is linked to customer research. Visibility is also one of the key factors in our opinion. So each published report is automatically advertised as a Teams notification. So we use Microsoft Teams in our company, and we have a separate research Teams channel in Microsoft Teams. And there we have this Condens connector, and this Condens connector always, when we publish new research, automatically gives a Teams notification. So the colleagues are informed there's a new research. We also have some discussions then going on in this channel when a certain research is something that are more stakeholders interested, some questions come up. So this is also some kind of a good platform to really engage with the stakeholders with the research. And what we also do is that we once a quarter send out a research newsletter that is sent out to all the stakeholders with a brief summary of each study and a link to Condens, so that every stakeholder is aware of what have we done this quarter on customer research. Short summary, what this research is about, and then a direct link to Condens where everyone can then just see themselves what has been in this research in more detail. And also persistence, as I stated before. If a question is asked, where is study X located, or did we ever did some research on topic Y, this always ends with going to Condens and answering the question in Condens and not sharing anything else beside Condens, in order to really train people and establish Condens as the resource for our customer research. And also value. So what we also do is we not only publish our internal research on Condens, but we also publish external studies, insights on the database. So we create added value. So it's not only internal studies, but also external studies. And another benefit is, as we as a research team are ensuring that quality criteria are met, so compared to just do a Google search or something like that, our stakeholders don't have to worry when going to Condens. Is the research that I found, is it reliable? Is it of good quality? Can I use it without any doubt? So as we have set some quality criteria, everyone can be assured what he finds in Condens is usable, is of high quality, and can be integrated in the daily work immediately without any hesitation, without any questioning. And that really makes an added value and brings more benefit to Condens than just publishing our own research that we do. What I then would like to do is introduce you to our quality guidelines. So these are the 4 quality guidelines. Has nothing to do with piracy. However, it sounds a bit like that. So 4 stands for validity. So of course, we ensure that the research that is published on Condens is methodically correct, so is valid and therefore can be used. Next thing is objectivity. So we want to ensure that the results that we publish are unbiased, that there is no visible agenda behind some research, as we know some marketing agencies might do some research in order to sell stuff and do things like that. This is ensured via objectivity. Then we have the first R, stands for reliability. Of course, we want to ensure that the results that are published in our research repository are reproducible. Second R stands for relevance. So we also ensure that research that is published on Condens is potentially beneficial for a large part of the company. So we do not publish any niche research that is only relevant for 1 or 2 colleagues in our setup. We all take care of that what we publish has an added value for a large part of our company and is therefore usable for more than 1 or 2 stakeholders, but for a broader range of stakeholders that we have. And the last R stands for robustness of the findings, so that we have some criteria that are compliant with quality standards, like sources that are used are of good quality, that the sample size is large enough, if there's representativeness of a certain sample, that this is ensured by the quotas and stuff like that. So these are our quality guidelines that are also visible on our Confluence page, where we state everything regarding our research repository and Condens. And this is, so to say, the insurance to our stakeholders that what they find on Condens is of good quality and therefore can be used without any doubt. So how do we use Condens? I have an example with me, and it's on our user experience tests. And what we do is we transfer our recordings to Condens. This gives us, of course, the opportunity of automated transcripts, which is really beneficial for us, since you have a transcript, you have a video. And as I stated before, this gives us the opportunity to have automated GDPR compliant data protection process. So we have a defined time period, how long we can save the videos of our participants. And after that, Condens ensures that these videos are deleted without anything that we need to do. Also, we get from Condens a list per month, which videos will be deleted, so that we can say, stop, we need this video 1 month more, or stuff like that. But this is really convenient for us, so we don't have to worry on any GDPR issues. And we don't lose that much of raw data, since we have the transcript still in place, which is of very good quality. So the auto transcripts are really, really good quality. Of course, when some Austrian dialects come into place, then sometimes it struggles with auto transcript. But however, it really works fine also with some Austrian dialects. Really, really highly recommended. So it's really beneficial for us. And of course, some AI features that Condens also has. So the AI bookmarks, just to state one here, are really helpful for us. So they ensure easy navigation within the recordings between the different parts of the recordings. So usually in our UX tests, we cover different topics, and to jump between those topics and see how things are, so that you don't have to scroll through the whole transcript or the whole video, and you don't have to do bookmarks on your own. This AI feature is really, really helpful for us, and speed things up for us, so that we have an easy process in analyzing our data. What we then do is we evaluate and analyze, of course, our video recordings. It's really easy to analyze and evaluate the video recordings within Condens. As Phyllis showed in the beginning, you have the transcript, you have this tagging, you have global tags, you have project tags, and this really makes it easy for us to analyze our data. And as you can see here on the right-hand side, we have a screenshot of one of our transcripts where we have done some tagging, and below that you have an Excel excerpt of this tagging stuff, and this is what we currently use in order to analyze our data. So we use this project and global tags, and then sum it up, and have that in an Excel spreadsheet, which gives us easily the opportunity to see the key findings, highlight the key potentials for improvement. And this is really, really helpful for us. And this makes it quite easy for us, speeds things up. Beforehand, we did everything by hand. And this really helps us to get more research done in more time, and also in a really, really good quality, high quality, maybe higher quality than having it done beforehand, everything in a manual process. So these automatizations are really helpful for us. And last but not least, we also create and publish the results on Condens and use it as a research repository. So we create of every research that we do a PDF report with all the results and also an interpretation of the results itself, so that our stakeholders have some guidance on how to read the results, how to interpret the results. And then we publish that as an artifact on Condens with some background information. So on the right-hand side, you also can see here how this looks in our repository. We have a short summary, we have an abstract here, and we do some background information. We also do walkthrough videos, as we call them. So since we're not a static company, but a business that is, so we have 2 developments, I think, per week in our online shop. So things are changing rapidly. And in order to ensure that everyone is on the same page, what has been tested, we do some walkthrough videos. So every time we do a test, we do a short video recording of where we go through the task and show how this looked like, either in the live system or also on prototypes. We do that so that everyone is on the same page, what has been tested, and what was the user seeing when he had done the test. And also we add the highlight videos. As stated before, these are real beneficial when it gets to convincing people to take some action, to really see and feel the customer's pain when going through different things. But also we use them to highlight things that we already have achieved. So we had some features that were particularly positively received by other users, and we also use then the highlight videos to really use this as a motivational factor for our designers or the product team to give them the direct feedback of our users that they really liked some features or some improvements that they have done. And it's really also helpful. And then we do a presentation that is sent to all employees of XXXLdigital. We do this every time we did a moderated user experience test. We provide the whole setup with the results. We guide them through the results. We show them the highlight videos. And we also use this presentation to summarize what has happened with the results of the previous tests, and also to show that we make some progress when doing the test, we make some improvements, and this is really beneficial for us as a company. This is how we use Condens as researchers, but also let me show you how our stakeholders use Condens. So first thing, of course, they look up results of recently published studies, for instance, user experience tests. This looks something like that on the right-hand side. So they see the PDF results report. They have the recording of the presentations, so they can rewatch it. And they also have the walkthrough videos, so they can see what has the test scenario exactly been and what has the user been looking at. And of course, they have the highlight videos, which they can also use to share within the setup and illustrate things that they want to argue in a particular way. And also, we provide a summary of the most interesting findings, and we also do some kind of severity rankings when we have usability issues. So we also rank usability issues in the severity, and more severe problems are also treated in our setup as a technical bug or like a technical bug, which then leads also to improvements. So we ensure that usability issues are not issues of less interest, but also treated as technical issues, and therefore we can ensure improvement as well. Of course, they also get an overview on what knowledge is already existent in our company on a specific topic. This is especially helpful when they are looking for or have a new topic or looking for some things that they can rely on when doing a decision or want to know what to tackle next from a user's perspective. So they're using the taxonomy and the filter options. So we have a lot of filter options within Condens, like country, product category, topics, and also a lot of stuff like that. They also use free text search, and as I mentioned, this is an extremely strong feature in Condens. When you use keyword search, it really is really helpful and brings a lot of benefit to our stakeholders. Last but not least, we also provide some of our stakeholders with the so-called full access stakeholder role, which gives them then access to the raw data, so the video recordings of the UX tests, for instance. So some of our internal clients, as the UX designers, for instance, get access to the tests where some of their prototypes or some of the topics have been tested, and they can watch the entire videos or excerpt them of them independently, so that they also have the opportunity to really dig deep into the results and not rely on what we are saying, but also take a look at for themselves and rewatch all the videos, which especially from our UX designers is commonly used. So how has Condens established itself as a reliable partner? I think a lot of benefits have hopefully been covered in what I have stated so far. What I want to add is that we have a very low threshold communication with the Condens team. This is really easy to reach out to the Condens team. It's really easy to communicate with them. They're really quick in answering questions, and they're, of course, a reliable partner. So deadlines are met, promised feedback is kept. So it's really helpful to work with Condens and the team. And what we also have seen is high development speed and many useful improvements, extensions. And even before we signed the contract with Condens, so in our evaluation process, we had several conversations with Condens, and they asked for what might be beneficial from our side, what we would like to have, what we might need in order to use Condens more efficiently. And we provided them with feedback. And even before we signed the contract, some of this feedback has already been implemented into Condens, which really showed us that, yeah, this is a partner that we would like to work with. And also, if we provide feedback, we always get some response on this feedback, if that's something that they can implement very fast, or if that's something that takes more development, but it's always heard, and it's always giving us a good feeling that we have the right partner, and this partner is also interested in the wishes and suggestions of their customer, of their clients, in order to bring Condens forward, to really make Condens a valuable product. And as we have experienced, they are always trying to fulfill unmet needs in the market and really listen to the clients and the customers in order to improve Condens and make it even more beneficial for us as a company, for us as researchers, and we really appreciate that.